The following nightmare was inspired by true events. On June 10, 1988, 4 U.S. military dependents went for a night of bar hopping in downtown Mabalacat right outside Clark Air Force Base, Philippines. Henry Gardner, John Wynn, J.J. Wilson, and Raul Carlson had just graduated from Wagner High School that evening. To celebrate, they decided to go out and enjoy themselves at the local bars in the Angeles City area. 2 days later, a group of Australian rock climbers discovered Henry near the Pamantinan cave system in Bulacan City, which is located 25 miles away from Angeles City. He was found clinging to life in a bloodied, unconscious, and dehydrated state. This is the story of what occurred as recounted by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations team who interviewed Henry while he was recuperating at Clark Air Force Base Hospital. I'm not sure where to start, but I'm determined to share the events exactly as they unfolded. What happened was so unbelievable that I'm reluctant to tell. I know that I'll be labeled crazy. Nevertheless, I have got to get this story out. There is true evil out there. The graduation commencement took place at the Bobbitt Theater on the base. I had the privilege of delivering what, in my opinion, stands as one of the greatest valedictorian speeches in the history of Wagner High. During my speech, I shared insights about my educational journey, expressed gratitude, and conveyed inspirational messages to my fellow graduates. Towards the end of my speech, I invited my proud father to join me on the stage. He had raised my brother and I as a single parent to the best of his abilities. I paid tribute to him and expressed my heartfelt gratitude for all the love and support he had given us throughout the years. As we embraced, my dad struggled to hold back his tears, overwhelmed with emotion. After graduation, I made my way towards my vehicle in the parking lot. John surprised me by stepping in front of me and asking, "Hey, where do you think you're off to, Mr. Hollywood?" JJ chimed in with a laugh, saying, "I know you're not heading home for some milk and cookies and a bedtime story, right?" I raised my hand in a gesture as if I were attempting to halt a crowd. "I'm not sure, guys. You know I'm leaving for boot camp next week. I can't afford to get into any kind of trouble." "Trouble? Who said anything about trouble?" John responded with a wide grin. "Just a simple celebration. 1 drink in every bar." "Yeah, then we'll bring you home safe and sound, and then you can have your milk and cookies," JJ laughingly stated. Just then, Raul pulled into the parking lot with his large, green 1970 Chevy Impala and stopped right next to me and the guys, narrowly avoiding hitting us. "Dudes, get in! It's peso pitcher night at the Red Baron Bar." JJ and John pushed me into the front passenger seat, and they both jumped into the back. After a brief drive on the base, Raul parked the car at the inner parking lot near the main air base entry gate. We showed our dependent ID cards to the gate security and walked off the base. We embarked on our celebratory journey along Fields Avenue, often referred to as the Disneyland of bars. The vibrant nightlife awaited us, promising a memorable evening of fun and camaraderie. The night was an absolute blast. We ventured into as many bars as we could and enjoyed just 1 drink at each. The options were endless, with a multitude of bars to choose from, including Doc's Disco, the Music Box, Temple of Rock, the Brass Knob, Murphy's, Sky Tracks, DMZ Bar, Third Eye, Phase 4, Red Baron, and many more. Encountering fellow graduates who were likewise celebrating their achievements was a delightful surprise. We shared drinks, exchanged high fives, and danced the night away. The camaraderie and enjoyment reached unprecedented levels, and it felt as though the festivities would never come to an end. However, the night took an abrupt turn around 1 a.m., While walking to the next bar, Raul got distracted by a group of street kids who were aggressively begging for money, getting in his face almost as if they wanted to start a fight. When he reacted to their provocation, he was pickpocketed from behind. We gave chase, but, unfortunately, they managed to escape. "Well, that's the end of my night. Time to head home, guys," Raul said, clearly disappointed. "Hold on a second, my friend. I've got a surprise in store for you all. A little gift, if you will." John chimed in with a mischievous grin. JJ began rubbing his hands together, brimming with anticipation and excitement. "John, it's already 1 a.m. Everything is starting to close. We should go home," I suggested. "No, sir. This might be our last night altogether. Let's make it unforgettable." "How about we go to the Nipa Hut?" John proposed with a smile. "Drinks are on me." "The place with the sex shows? Are you out of your mind? That bar is off limits to military and dependents," I exclaimed. "Henry, like I said, this is our last night. We'll never get this chance again," John responded, still wearing that sinister smile. "Don't be a buzzkill, Henry. Let's go for it," JJ chimed in, clearly under the influence of all the shots we had consumed. I reluctantly agreed to go, mainly because I knew these guys would go without me anyway, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't do anything reckless or, worse, get hurt. I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to my friends, and I felt responsible for their safety. We arrived at our last destination of the night, the Nipa Hut, dropped off by a rickety jeepney. As we stood there, facing the bar's facade, an overwhelming sense of unease washed over me. The Nipa Hut loomed before us like a malevolent specter, its entrance shrouded in darkness and oozing an aura of unspeakable dread. Every instinct in my body screamed at me, urging me to flee, to turn away, and never set foot inside. It was as though the very essence of the night itself conspired to keep us out, whispering ominous warnings to get the hell away from this place. John paid the cover charge and the gang rushed inside with excitement. However, I remained deliberate, taking my time. I felt the need to stay vigilant, to fully assess my surroundings, the individuals present and the available exits, just as my father had taught me. My intention was simply to be prepared in case any unexpected or dangerous situations were to arise. The atmosphere inside the bar caught me off guard. An extremely obese DJ commanded the balcony, orchestrating a lively set of club music. There was a kaleidoscope of colorful lights and neon signs casting an otherworldly glow. The patrons were comprised of a diverse fusion of local Filipinos and jarheads, off-duty U.S. Marines who clearly disregarded the military base's off-limits order. The inebriated onlookers and ogling spectators congregated around the various stages situated throughout the bar. John reappeared, his trademark broad smile in place, as he proudly carried 4 elongated bamboo mugs with attached straps. Amidst the deafening music, he enthusiastically announced, "It's the Yard of Ale! Everyone is drinking it! I did say drinks were on me." John was right. Numerous patrons sported these peculiar yards of ale slung over their shoulders, indulging in their contents via long straws. Despite my initial intent to remain alert, the allure of the drink proved irresistible. The flavor of the jungle juice was nothing short of incredible and strangely addictive. It slid down my throat smoothly, and I found myself continuously sipping on it as me and the rest of the group made our way toward one of the stages where a show was in progress. The stage had stacks of pesos neatly arranged along the areas of the stage in front of spectators. A rather unattractive nude lady dancing to music would approach the stacks, sit on them, and make the coins disappear. The spectators would then throw paper money in her direction, and she would drop out pesos, one by one, clinking on the stage. The crowd went wild. Continuing to sip my drink and still reeling from the previous shocking performance, we ventured towards the next stage featuring the hot dog lady. To my utter disgust, this nude performer made hot dogs magically disappear, only to forcefully eject them from herself, like a shotgun blast, into the enthralled crowd. The audience's response was nothing short of frenzied. Raul was struck in the head with one of the meat projectiles and in his drunken stupor, immediately grabbed the hot dog and ate it. Upon witnessing this, JJ began vomiting on the side of the stage. John was laughing so hard, I was fighting the urge to vomit when I gathered everyone and had them sit at a table. Jesus, Raul, do you know how many freaking diseases you've just taken in? I exclaimed. I urged all of them to just sit at the table, drink, and watch the shows from afar. John kept the drinks coming. One by one, maybe about 10 minutes apart, a show was featured on stage. There was the candlestick lady, the teddy bear lady, the beer bottle lady, and the banana lady, to name just a few. I couldn't help but feel like the shows were setting us up for some sort of climactic conclusion. John kept the drinks flowing. Laughter filled the air as we basked in what felt like the most enjoyable of times. However, the effects of the drinks were becoming increasingly apparent. The world around me started to shift into an almost surreal, dreamlike state. Despite my efforts to resist, the room seemed determined to spin and sway around me. And that's when I bore witness to the strangest spectacle I had ever seen up until that moment. A profound silence fell over the room, only to be shattered by the sudden eruption of energetic techno music blaring at full volume. Thick, cool mist began to pour out in copious quantities from the various stages, engulfing the entire bar in a swirling fog. High above, suspended by cables from the lofty ceiling, a distinctly artificial flying saucer with flashing lights started its gradual descent onto a stage. The artificially crafted UFO touched down on the stage with a subtle hiss, leaving everyone in the room utterly captivated. Another sharp hiss followed, and a door extended outward, revealing a set of descending steps. The room fell into an eerie silence once more. Then, out of nowhere, a cacophony of screams erupted from within the saucer. In an instant, a multitude of unclad males and females wearing monkey masks and tails poured out from the saucer, flooding the stage and the bar with their bizarre presence. The naked individuals in monkey masks started seizing the local patrons, forcibly dragging them towards the saucer. Some of the victims appeared to be laughing, while others were in a state of panic, desperately attempting to break free. In the chaos, John, Raul, and JJ leaped onto a table, seeking refuge from the bizarre scene unfolding before them. I too tried to make my way onto the table, but to my horror, my legs seemed unresponsive, refusing to obey my commands. At that moment, I suddenly felt the icy clutch of frigid hands belonging to one of the unclothed women. Her strength was astonishing, her vice-like grip on my arms so tight that my fingers began to tingle from the restricted blood flow. With an eerie, unnatural strength, she seemed to lift me slightly from the ground and pull me towards the saucer, all my struggles to break free proving futile. My companions were dancing on the table, gesticulating wildly and cheering me on in support of the strange spectacle unfolding. My feelings couldn't have been more different. An overwhelming sense of dread gnawed at me, and I knew I had to act. Something was undeniably wrong. Despite my frantic efforts to break free, I was dragged into the saucer's dark interior, punctuated only by sporadic flashes of light from the bar above. As we descended a set of stairs, I could hear the woman's labored breathing, almost like a growl. Summoning every ounce of strength within me, I managed to wrench my right arm free, inadvertently striking her face in the process. The mask was sent flying, unveiling a leathery face adorned with pointed ears and a sinister array of fangs jutting from her mouth. She let out a blood-curdling scream followed by a hiss. A putrid smell of decay and rot emanated from her breath. "What the fuck?" I yelled. In that chilling moment, a sharp, searing pain seared through my lower back, a sensation that left me in agony. I looked down to see what appeared to be a fleshy tail-like appendage, protruding through my stomach and out through my shirt. I winced with pain and turned my head around to see what skewered me, and I was quickly smashed in the face, which knocked me out. The next thing I remember is being dragged along the ground by my legs. I tried to see the thing dragging me, but my eyes were stinging with blood, everything a hazy blur. Despite my efforts to wipe the blood from my eyes, I found no relief. I don't know how much time passed, but I could tell that it was night, and even if my eyes weren't filled with blood, I doubted I could have seen anything that was dragging me. Throughout this ordeal, my mind was screaming at me to fight back and free myself, but my body refused to obey my commands. It felt limp, unresponsive. After what seemed like an eternity, I suddenly noticed a drop in temperature and a significant increase in darkness around me. It felt like we had entered a cave or cavern. The entity dragging me continued for a little while before coming to an abrupt halt and releasing my legs. I could see the glow of a small fire not too far from where I lay, but despite my desire to move, my body remained uncooperative. It was as if some substance had rendered my muscles inert. My mind, however, was still functioning, leading me to wonder if I'd been drugged or injected with something that paralyzed my body. As I laid there, wondering what was going to happen next, a revolting stench of rotting flesh overwhelmed me. I vomited blood. My body throbbed with excruciating pain. I recalled the stabbing sensation in my lower back and the fleshy-like appendage protruding from my stomach. A few minutes later, I blacked out. I'm not sure how long I was out, but I was jolted awake by a sudden and loud commotion. Through my blurry eyes, I could make out two dark figures engaged in what appeared to be a fierce fight. They spoke in Tagalog, the Filipino language. Being half Filipino, I understood most of what they were saying, and to my dismay, I overheard the smaller entity saying that he wanted to consume me. The larger figure hissed back, "He is an American! The master has forbidden us! They will come looking for him!" The fight continued for several minutes, but then, abruptly, one of them just fell to the ground hard. The other figure clutched its neck and began writhing violently, as if mortally injured. I began to cry, and all I could think about was that I was next. I laid there for a long time before I finally started regaining some movement in my limbs. I sat up in ever so slow, quiet pain. The fire had gone out, and it was pitch black around me. I wasn't sure if there were any more of those creatures nearby, so I decided to play dead until sunrise. I hoped that when daylight came, I would be able to see and figure out where I was and how to get the hell out of there. Time went by slow, while waiting in the dark, afraid for my life. At that point, I started thinking about what my dad must be feeling at this time. It made me want to go home even more. I could tell that the sun rose. It was a relief. The cave lit up just enough for me to see, even though my eyes were still blurry. As I tried to stand up and leave, I looked around me. There were several bodies on the cave floor, and the stench of rotting flesh emanated from them. I suspected that these lifeless bodies were the source of the putrid smell. Despite my excruciating pain, I moved fast as I could and I moved quietly as I could. I did not want to wake those evil creatures. As I emerged from the cave, I proceeded with great care, unsure of the terrain's steepness. My worst fear was falling into a bottomless pit or tumbling down into a ravine. And then, just when I thought my luck couldn't get any worse, the ground beneath me crumbled away, and I plunged into darkness. The world went black. The next thing I remember was waking up here in the hospital with my dad, John, JJ, and Raul by my side. Following Henry's extraordinary statement, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations launched a thorough inquiry into the Nipa Hut. The official statement released by the Air Force to the public asserted that the Nipa Hut establishment had been illicitly spiking their patrons' drinks with hallucinogenic substances and then robbing them. According to this narrative, Henry had been under the influence of these drugs when he wandered off and became lost in the forest. In response to these allegations, the Nipa Hut was swiftly shut down and dismantled. However, Henry vehemently disputes the veracity of the Air Force's account to this day.